we?
We are. I just double checked. All right, we're live. Look at that. I even put the cover on there. Wells Fargo, Quail Hollow. Tough course, but fun one. I didn't have a winner last week. I thought Answer was going to get there. Griot had a 66 to start the tournament. Ended up like a 76 on Friday. Didn't even make the cut. I had a bunch of disappointments last week. I don't know how you did.
I did not do so well. I overallocated myself. I usually never do. I never have done that. I stick to top 20s. That's kind of where my strength is or my comfortability. And then this time I was like top 20, top 10, top 5 to win Corey Connors. And of course, he finished T21. And that is all she wrote.
I've had that. I can't remember. I think it was Matsuyama like a month ago or something. I knew a bunch of people who had him top 20, and it was one of the same thing, like T21, everybody loses, no good, no fun, and yeah, that's rough. I've had that too with God, it was our guy Charlie Hoffman. I played him top 10 because I got greedy, and he finished top 20. Of course, everybody cashes those. I lost my bet, but no, I think I'm ready for this week. Like we said, the matchups were a little tricky, but
hmm
I think I found some guys I like. I found some looks I liked, and yeah, if you want to start on the course preview a little, talk about what you did in a little prep for this, and I will tee off here on one. This is again a 71, so the course record Rory has it. And I did make
Yes.
it a little. Rory had a 61 here back in 2015 at this same tournament.
hmm
Um, this
So
has
Rory,
been, yeah, there's been a major played here.
yeah, Rory actually done really well at this course. He is the only person. He holds a 72 hold record, 17 under shot back in 2015. He also holds the 18 hole record. It was the same event, the same tournament. He shot 10 under in the third round. And he is also the only two-time champion at this event, having won in both 2015 and 2010. But I am not at all looking at him this week. He is definitely going to be a fade for me. I don't want anything to do with him until I kind of see him correct himself. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not like betting against him per se,
Right.
unless there was a really nice price. Sometimes somebody with a big name like this, you can end up with a pretty nice price against them. But I definitely am not looking to back him just based on current form. I'm not a big
hmm
course history guy. I don't believe just because you played here well one time or a couple times means you're automatically going to do well. So I'm not a course horse guy. I know people differ on
hmm
in opinions on these.
But what course are we talking about? We are talking about the Wells Fargo Championship being played at Quail Hollow Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. I see that birdie. It is a par 71. It is roughly 7,600 yards. It's really long. It is considered one of the toughest courses on tour. I did for my stats, what I went ahead and did was I know that this course plays long. So I want to see how players performed at other courses that are really long. And some of the ones that are comparable are going to be the Farmers, Corrales, Century, Puerto Rico, of course, the Arnold Palmer, the Masters. Those are some of the longer courses on tour. So I'm looking at players who did well on those. What strategy did you kind of take for this week?
Yeah, you're going to need some length here. It's not just strictly like bombers, people who hit the piss out of the ball, but probably a little bit of strategy too. Although somebody who, my guy J Maz was saying bunting. He kept calling it bunting, guys who can't hit long off the tee. That's not going to
Mm-hmm.
help. It's not going to help
Right.
if you can't hit it well off the tee. Like you saw where I'm at here.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not only you're gonna run into these big dog legs on the fives, there's some long fours with some dog legs. If you can't get around the
Mm-hmm.
corner on these, you're gonna have bad sight lines. You're gonna have trouble getting your second shot. So the approach game does get tricky if you can't find the right spot. Not only finding the fairway, but getting around some of these corners. A ton of the fours. I think there's only two or three fours that are really straight. A lot of them end up with some pretty heavy dog legs. So finding a way around those, and then yeah, just putting. I kind of threw putting out because I throw putting out every week, but I am looking
I
for
did too.
I am looking for a guy who can hit the ball far and has a decent approach game, which we talked about that a little earlier with someone. There's some context to that too. Like if you can't hit the ball well off the tee and you're short, your approach game is going to suck just because you're always hitting longer approaches than everyone. So there's some context.
Exactly.
There's it ties into that, but definitely looked for some longer hitters. Looked for some good approach guys like I do every week. So I'll putt here for birdie on the second, and I'll let you get into your first your outright. Your who you think wins it.
We're talking about the guys who can hit long, and I'm talking about the guys who can show me that they can hit long on long courses. So I'm going to go with John Rahm as my outright winner at plus 1,000. He is the co-favorite with Justin Thomas, so I don't love his odds, but I think once in a while, I think it's okay to go chalk, and hopefully this is one of those scenarios because I mean he's such a good player. He's third in the field for strokes gained off the tee, ninth in approach, third in tee to green. He is sixth in strokes gained total in his last 64 and he took fourth at this event in 2017. I like him. If I think that he's going to end up in the top 10 and top five, then why wouldn't I put a little bit on him to win outright? I think this course definitely suits him well. I was talking about those courses that are really long. Well, he does really well at these really long courses. He took 10th at Century, 10th and 7th in 2020, 2021 at Century. And then at Farmers, he took second last year and 7th this year. So I think he can definitely be in a top five contender at this spot. Who are you liking for your outright?
Yeah, again, you stole mine. I played him this. I talked about him this morning on Brown, but you've done this. I was just kind of letting you do yours first because it's fine. I'm gonna have plenty of guys I can look at too. But yeah, Rahm is somebody I looked at, but I went with Mr. Victor Hovland. He is, I'm gonna pull it up here. I didn't even make this is way out of whack because I started to mess with everything this morning. There we go. Look at that.
There
Right
we
size.
go.
So Rahm,
Oh,
yeah, Rahm
good
at 10 to
bounce.
1. He was 12 to 1 earlier in the week. I wish I would have been a little less busy this week because I would have
Mm-hmm.
probably played that at 12. I did play it at 10. I wasn't scared of that. But Hovland's a guy I like to back here. He's been playing well. He has four top fives this season already. And it's one of those things, too, where when I look at the context of how a guy's playing and how he's getting there, he's not it's not fluky like, oh, this guy gained so many strokes putting, like he
Right.
just was lights out with a putter. That sort of stuff never sustainable. It's not something you're going to do week in and week out. Like when he does play well, when he is getting a top five performance, he's doing with all the parts of his game. Everybody knows he's very good, and I think you're getting a little better number on him here just because he
Yeah.
is, it's such a good field. So I'm more than happy to take Hovland at 20 to 1 here.
Last week we were both on Corey Connors, and look how that ended up.
Yeah, everybody.
So
Everybody was
maybe
on Corey Connors.
how could you not? He's doing so well as of late.
I know it. And yeah, it's not like we're not going to play him this week. So
Yeah.
and yeah, and that's the thing too. Like he, not the biggest of bombers, but he can hit the ball well. He's a good ball striker, and yeah, like I said, not only this. I talked about those sight lines and some of the dog legs, but there's some really long par fours here that you're going to need to have a decent second shot at. And there's
Hmm.
actually two really short drivable par fours that if you can score on those, you're going to have a good time here. So.
Is this another birdie putt?
Oh yeah. No, I cranked the settings back to baby level so
To
I can just
beginner.
sit, yeah, so I can just sit here and make birdies all day. See
Give me the
that? Oh,
training wheels.
yeah, the training wheels are on. So all right, that takes us to a little bit more of a long shot, and you know, especially with you, you picked the chalk, the absolute chalk. And like I said, I took him too. I'm fine with Rom here, especially. You are getting maybe there are books that are hanging like 8.5 to 1 on him. So I mean, there are some people that are putting plenty of money on him right now.
For my long shot, I mean, it kind of depends on what you consider a long shot. I say anyone who's not in the top five is a long shot. So I'm going to go with Will Zalatoris plus 2,800. I actually did grab this number at plus 3,000. It has come down, but he is, I mean, I have been betting on him for months and months and months. I've been talking about him since like November. So I am not going to stop now. Hopefully he's well on his way, but he's another player who definitely thrives on long courses. Talking about some of the courses that I mentioned, he took eighth at Corrales, he took seventh at the Farmers, he took 10th at Arnold Palmer, and second at the Masters. I definitely love him to just have an opportunity here to, and he's doing his personal life is like really up there. He got engaged, he bought a house. So I mean, he's coming into this comfortable. He doesn't have anything to really prove. So take that chip off his shoulder, take that the stress, the anxiety off his shoulder, and he can come in this and hopefully win.
Yeah, he's just straight up adulting. There were people, people who don't follow Corn Ferry or don't follow some of the smaller tours just hadn't heard of this guy at all. And now he's, the
Hmm.
toast of the town. He's all over social media. Yeah, he proposed to his girlfriend the other day, but yeah, he's playing really well. I know a lot of people that like him this week. Another one, again, I talked about earlier in the week. This is another guy that I did play earlier in the week at 80 to 1. I know some pretty smart people who were on him first round leader.
Mm.
I don't hate that at all because he's a guy who plays well. He can come out hot and put a low round. And, I did play him 80 to 1, but I probably would make more of a case for Harold Varner the third top 20. It's
Mm-hmm.
a tough field. Like 80 to 1, I'm going to have just in case. And I didn't play much on that. But when I do a deep long shot like this, I do like to go a little more towards the top 20, top 40 market. So I went top 20 plus 410. There are plenty of quotes about him this week. I know some people who are in the area down there who have heard things and have seen and spoken to people. He's played Quail Hollow a bunch. He's went down there and played a
Mm.
bunch of practice rounds. There's even quotes of him saying that this is like his major. He's very excited for this tournament. He wants to do really well here. So he's jacked up for this. And he does check a lot of boxes for me as well. This is a really long birdie putt. I don't think that's falling. I mean, if I'm going to make 40 footers, the course record is absolutely trash. But no, Varner's somebody I've bet a few times this year, and yeah, I mean, for my notes, like when I made some notes for this, I said, why. Like he's jacked for this and he checks all the boxes. So Varner top 20, Varner top 30, 40, you can still get plus numbers. Varner first round leader, and like I said, I did bet some 80 to 1 on him as well.
I don't hate that. I like Barner. He's definitely somebody that can show up week after week and just can you catch him at the right week.
Yeah, hopefully it's here because he, like I said, he does like this course and he likes this event and he's played it a bunch. So, all right, you said matchups are tough. Why was it tough this week?
I don't know. I just feel like the books really have it narrowed down on matches. I've been having a hard time over the last few weeks finding head-to-head matchups that I really like. I think they're pairing them up perfectly with players who are too similar to it can go either way. I would like them both to end up in the top 20, both to end up in the top 10. So it's you're trying to figure out, okay, I like this player to finish at the top 10 and hopefully you finish at the top 20. And I think that's another case this week.
Yeah, and like I said, I said that too the other week. Sometimes it's, hey, there's a guy I like to fade, and then they put him against another guy I like to fade, or a couple that I like to back, and it drives me up a wall. Which is the beauty of having more outs. When you have more books, there's more different options. Like I
Right.
seen a guy I like to fade. He's up against 5 different people. I might bet against him at 5 different books because I like most of those guys. But who'd you come up with for your top of the board one?
I'm going to be looking at Webb Simpson at minus 130 over Patrick Cantlay. And I think it's just two players headed in opposite directions. You have, Webb Simpson, who's kind of more of a consistent player, but he's actually progressing. He took 28th at the match play, which, is paired event, so you can't really put too much into that. But he also took 12th at the Masters. He took 9th at RBC. And then you have Patrick Cantlay, who has missed 3 out of his last 5 cuts. He is losing strokes on his approach. He's losing strokes around the green. He's losing strokes putting. I don't know where his head is at. He has taken some time off. He hasn't played here, and we last saw him at the Zurich. But I mean, I don't think a week is enough for where his game has been. He's barely gaining strokes off the tee. So I think Webb Simpson can definitely contend here.
Yeah, and I went with the Cantlay fade too. And it was just another familiar name. Like this is the same thing. Like I just said, if there's a guy you're looking to fade, you might be able to find him at a couple different books. Like Cantlay's a fade for a lot of people I know. Eventually, and this turns into one of those things where eventually this gets so far one way where you actually have to start betting on Cantlay. I mean, unless he's completely broken. But right now, I don't have Connors in the same field as him. And Drew in the chat, Whale Capper asked if they really have stagecoach tee box markers. I think so. There's a lot of realism to this game. Like the tee box markers are a thing. We have a Manchester City fan in the chat too. Yes, they did very well today, Sam. But yeah, Corey Connors, I don't have him anywhere near Cantlay. All the reasons that Pam laid out there for fading Cantlay, I'm ready to do
Mm-hmm.
that too. And if you're gonna give a guy that I'm fully ready to fade against a guy I've liked for weeks, and then I'm planning on betting again, I'll take that, especially at this price. So Connors over Cantlay minus 108. I like the Webb one too. Webb's very good. I actually know a couple guys in my golf chat that had an argument over Cantlay and Webb last year, and they're actually betting head to head versus each other anytime these two men are in the same tournament. So it's fun when there's actually a matchup because you can say like, oh, this guy clearly, you can say one guy actually has an advantage because of they're actually putting odds out on for it. So
Now I'm
yeah,
now I'm starting to get worried. We are both on Corey Connors last week. That didn't work out. We're both on Rom this week to win, and then we're both fading Cantlay. So watch Cantlay win the entire tournament.
that would be bad for some other bets I have down the field. So yeah, not great. And yeah, those are cute little stagecoach tee markers. See, around here we just have like chunks of wood. We don't have anything fancy like that. Of course, we don't have any major tournaments here in Rochester. But down the board, what'd you come up with for
I'm
another
going to be
matchup?
looking to Keegan Bradley minus 120 over Stort Sink. And I've got to admit, I'm kind of really not loving this anymore. But I really did. And it's because, I mean, Stort Sink, he just came off a win at RBC Heritage. It's really hard to go back to back in a tournament, but he is I mean, he's gained strokes off the tee. He's gained strokes in every category in his last two events. But Keegan Bradley, I really feel like he is knocking on the door. He's inching closer and closer to a win. He took 23rd at the Valero. He took 4th at the Zurich with his team event, and then he took 2nd at Valspar. Well, there's only one more spot that he can do better at than 2nd. So hopefully this is an opportunity for him. And start seeing he's already hit his peak. He took 1st at RBC Heritage, so maybe he can take a couple steps back.
Yeah, Sink, that was something. Like nobody saw that coming. That was great win by him. He's like almost 50, but I don't disagree with this at all. And Keegan too. Keegan, there's a thing. I feel like he went first round leader and then
Mm-hmm.
missed the cut. I think that's what going full Keegan is. He's done that. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like he's been playing better of lately. He hasn't had those
He
weird
has.
blow up rounds, so I don't, especially at the price. So I don't hate that at all. And then this is the guy I was talking about, Ricky Fowler. He's not just a complete blank fade, but his numbers here are a little higher than even you're seeing elsewhere. He
Mm-hmm.
still trades off his name a little. And yes, he's won a bunch of tournaments back in the day, but he's changed his swing a bunch. He's changed his,
Yeah.
approach to the game. He hasn't been good. He is a former winner of this tournament. I don't know how much sway that holds in the market because he won it in 2012. I mean, it was damn near a decade ago. So I don't know if that actually holds sway anymore. But I'm obviously planning to bat or fade him in a couple spots. I talked earlier about another spot I was looking to fade him. So he's a guy I'm going to look at a few different matchups and a few different books and bet against him. And Wallace again, not a guy I'm super enamored with, but again at this price, I'm happy to take this against Ricky. Ooh, I'm out. There goes
I
my
don't
greens
mind
and
that.
regulation screen.
Ricky Fowler has shown no type of consistency whatsoever. So I think he is a fade until further notice, and you just kind of have to fire until one day he shows up.
Yeah, there's a few different matchups versus him, and kind of take a look at that. Look for some guys that are going to be a little more steady Eddie down the middle that are just going to play well because you do think if Ricky just misses the cut, you're going to win these
Hmm.
bets. Then you just need someone to play halfway decent,
Yep, I agree with that.
which leads us to. Oh, speaking of missing the cut, yeah, that's the missed cut bet. I think we played make the cut last week, both of us. You even had a bonus one. I had Ryan Moore, and that was another one I felt dumb about because
Hmm.
he was like second overall after the first day or something. Or early in the round, he was like one of the leaders. I'm like, oh, good, I played the guy to make the cut, and he's going to win the damn tournament. He fell way back. I think he probably finished like 40th, but it was
I
nice.
did
I,
two of
I
them.
cashed my make the cut bet at least.
I missed my make the cut. I did Chris Kirk, which was a big disappointment. As well as he's been playing, he just did not show up for this tournament. He was a couple shots there. I think he was putting for to make the line, and he just couldn't get it in. But I did get my miss the cut, and that was with Streelman at plus money, so that was a good one. And I'm going back to miss the cut this week, and I'm going to avoid the make the cut because you just never know. But I'm going to be looking to Jason Day to miss the cut at plus 175. I mentioned earlier those courses that I think that I'm following along where this course is long. I want to see how a player has done at the other long courses. And looking at Farmers, Arnold, the Masters, he has missed the cut in 4 out of 6 events that he has played at these long courses. He has bleeding red all over the place, losing strokes off the green, losing strokes on his approach, losing strokes putting. So I think he has an opportunity. And as inconsistent, we're talking about Ricky Fowler. I think he's right up there with him as somebody who used to be, hot stuff. He's not. He's definitely sizzled over the last since the restart, and we haven't seen any type of progression from him. So I think it's another opportunity for him to miss the cut.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been one of the better putters on tour. And again, you can't, if the rest of your game is starting to go to hell, you can't just
Hmm.
rely on your putter to carry here. So I also did a miss the cut. And this is one you got me freaked out a little because you said, like, oh, we both like Cantlay. What if he plays really well and wins the tournament? That's not going to go well for this. Again, it's a smaller bet because it's such a big plus number, but plus 245 to miss the cut. And a guy, if I'm willing to fade him in like different matchups, I'm probably willing to take this sort of bet too. Like
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to take this actually, and this is another like definitely shop around kind of thing, because I feel like I originally looked at this, I wrote down plus 200 or plus 215, and then I ended up going to another book. I think it was just FanDuel and DraftKings honestly, and you get to the other one, and it was plus 245. So, especially in these bigger prop markets like this, or these goofier prop markets like this, you're going to look for different prices and you're going to see some big, massive differences. So, plus 245, Cantlay again. He's missing cuts left and right. He's not playing as well as his name. You know, he is a bigger name. I'm more than willing to fade this here.
And remember, he has missed 3 out of his last 5, so but he can continue on that trend for sure.
Yeah, I would love that. This was one I really would like because not only would I hit this, I would more than likely hit most of the matchups I'd be playing against him. All right. That leads me to nationalities. These are up every week now. I was a little worried these weren't going to be up in mass, but now they're just hanging this every week for all kinds of nationalities.
Hmm.
Where did Sungjae finish last week? I didn't even follow the Asians. I feel
He
like I kind of
pushed.
zoned out. It pushed.
It pushed.
Oh, dead
Yeah.
heat rules, not
He
great.
ended up in the top 20, but so did I think it was Keong Hoon Lee. They ended up tied.
Yeah, and get to know your book on that too, because there's dead heat rules, is a complicated math way to take a bunch of your money even when you win.
Even when you
So
win.
yeah, so look at the rules when you're betting these, because some of those do have a dead heat. When I play top 20, sometimes I'll look at books that don't have it just to make sure I get my full payout, even if it is at a worse number. So, well, I mean, you were
Hmm.
on the right track. Who'd you find this week?
I'm going to look to Matt Jones as the top Australian at plus 250. Jason Day is the favorite. And if I think Jason Day is going to miss the cut, then there has to be value in the options of four other players in his category. It's Jason Day is the favorite, Matt Jones, Cameron Davis, Lucas Herbert, and Cameron Percy. I am a little bit worried about Cameron Davis. I think he's definitely somebody who can make a lot of birdies, but I like Matt Jones where he's going. He won the Honda Classic in March. He took 26th at the Masters. I'm not going to blame him at all for missing the cut at the Zurich. I don't think it was him. It was more so it was his partner. So I think that there's opportunity there. He's good off the tee and he's a good putter. Combine the two, I think he could end up doing well.
Yeah, I like that. Especially, I'm worried about the same guy you'd be worried about in that. Like, there's some Aussies that aren't playing well, but Davis could play well. There's so many Camerons in golf too. I start to mix them all up. I went with a different nationality. Obviously, that'd be funny if we ended up on the
The
same
same
nationality from
one.
different. It'll happen someday, or we're gonna be heads up in a different play here. But I ended up going top Brit Tom Lewis. This was
Okay.
a bit of a weird market just because I ended up just looking at it, and I couldn't figure it out in my head if I thought there was value on one or the other. I thought it was close on a couple, so I pulled all the Brits in. And this is not British in Ireland. It is just British. So this excludes Rory, excludes Lowry, and a couple of Seamus Power, a couple other ones. So this is going to be like
Hmm.
Tommy Fleetwood, Matt Wallace, Ian Poulter, Tom Lewis, and Luke Donald. And Luke Donald, I don't think is going to be,
Mm.
in the any sort of contention in this. So essentially, it's kind of a four ball, and Tommy Fleetwood, I don't think should be this big of a favorite. I really do think
Right.
there's probably value on basically everybody else. And Poulter's a guy I'm fading right now based on some of his approach numbers. Wallace is a guy I like, but I couldn't resist this big number. This is a little more of a punt, but Lewis top Brit, just based on some of the stuff he's done lately, getting a 5-1 on this. And he has played well. I don't think he's missed a cut in about a month. Last cut he missed was the Players back in March. He's not.
Everyone missed the cut at the
Yeah, I mean the
players.
Players is tough, and he's not striking fear in the hearts of men and finishing top fives, but he's making cuts. He was 25th at RBC. He didn't play as well in the weekend at Valspar, but 5-1. I'm taking a punt here for sure.
I don't hate that. I was actually, I'm gonna have you know, I was actually looking at that one and I got all types of confused and I just ended up laying off. I was like, Fleetwood is a player that confuses me. You either, every time I bet on him, he does well. He does poorly. Every time I bet against him, he does well. So,
Yeah, he's kind of a pain in my butt too with that. As far as that goes, I've had my troubles with him. All right, I did say we are going to be heads up. I think this is it. I don't think I know this is it. This is
are we
the hole in one bet.
I'm just gonna do whatever you want. If you whatever you say, that's what I'm gonna go with.
All
Whatever
right.
the favorite is of the week, that's what I'm gonna go. This week the favorite is a yes. Every time I say yes, it's a no. Every time I go no, it's a yes. So I'm just gonna go with whatever the favorite is that week because it seems to always work out.
Yeah, we had a bit of a. I mean, I thought we were on the right track. There was an extra par three last week. A
hmm
couple of them were shorter, a little easier. I thought we'd get it too. It didn't work out. I hit the heck out of that ball. You ever hit your driver off the deck? Or are you worried
Um,
about breaking it?
no.
Sometimes I do that in the game because it lets me, and honestly, it doesn't punish you like it should. I can never imagine doing this in real life. I would absolutely
Mm-mm.
break my driver.
Mm-hmm.
Look how well that worked out too, right in the
That was
sand.
nice.
Not great, but
Oh.
so the hole in ones I did take some notes on here. I did take plus 100 on the no on this one,
Okay.
and the main reason is the difficulty on some of these. There's
Yes.
just no shot on 17, and we didn't really get into this in the course preview part, but real quick, you remember the snake pit from last week?
Uh-huh.
Very similar. We have what's called the Green Mile. There's
Right.
3 holes to close it. I'm sure you've seen that as you're looking at stuff. Oh, I just hit the pin. But those last 3 holes are ridiculous. It's basically two 500-yard par fours and a
Mm-hmm.
230-yard par three. That
Yeah.
one is impossible. You're just not going to end up with, it'd be a fluky 2 bouncer out with a using your 5 wood or something. And 6 is also 230 yards. So there's really only 2 par
Mm-hmm.
threes that I think you have a shot at. So I ended up thinking maybe a little value at even money on the no, even though it's a full size field and we do have all 4 par threes here. So
Yep.
yeah, I'll go no, but I don't blame somebody for just like being snake bit on this. It's like I've been snake bit on this. No matter what I do, it doesn't seem like I can
It's
end up on the
always wrong.
right.
I cannot get the hole in one correct, but yeah, just to go along with your point, three of the par fours are over 200 yards. You have a 236, a 181, which definitely plays like a 200 because of the elevation. The other is 229, and then you have 155. So there's really only like one opportunity, one true opportunity, one hole that gives
Yeah.
you a legit shot. So I definitely don't mind the no. It's just I can't get it right.
No. And abnormal AD, Mister. We're gonna call him Robert. He's asking if I think shots gains approach are important here. He's just being snarky because that's what everybody says. Approach is always important. Of course, it's important. These greens are pretty easy to hit. You've seen me playing. I'm 13 under right now. I need to find a happy medium between last week and this week because now I'm just destroying a course and like I'm gonna miss a putt on purpose. I didn't
We
actually
need to
miss it on
have you
purpose.
go to the par three so we can see how easy this hole in
I
one's
know.
gonna be.
When I play against my 6-year-old, I'll let him play from the front tees and I'll play from the back at least to try to make it a little tougher on me. But I still have to have the settings the same for us. So yeah, I'll go with no, and that'll take us to the final 2 holes. I am in these tough ones. This is the long par three that I just spoke about, and it leads us to wild card. My wild card. I did something similar to last week. I don't know what you ended up on. I can't remember.
Nicholson. Mine is, if you want to talk about wild card, you have a wild personality as my wild card. I'm going to go with Phil Mickelson as a top 20 plus 600. I'm going to consider this kind of like my pancake bet. I definitely think I like what he is doing. He has five, one, two, three, four, five. He has five straight events where he has gained strokes on his approach. His ball striking is in the green, and it's a pretty deep green. He gained 5.4 at Pebble Beach, and then at Players. I mean, he took 25th at the Players when everyone else was missing the cut left and right. He ended up with a 25th place finish. He took 21st at the Masters. I mean, he did miss the cut at Valspar, but that's because he lost strokes putting. So if he can kind of just put that into check again and back into place, I think he has an opportunity here to sneak into the top 20.
Yeah, he can still be a good player. He gets this weird. It's almost like an NBA player where he just doesn't give a shit sometimes. And you can tell,
Hmm.
like, Phil, you can play better than this. You're not
Yeah.
washed up yet. Especially you see him go to the Champions Tour and just embarrass people. So, yeah,
And he has good course history. He took fifth into he's played here 5 times and he missed the cut in 2019, but he finished fifth, 18th, fourth, and fourth in the years before. So plus 600, I think that's good value.
yeah, no, that's a big number. I like that. And then, yeah, I will say, Mr. Abnormally distributed. I did enjoy the pod you did with Pizzola as well. And then, yeah, he was says he was being sort of serious. Around the green here is very important. Around
Hmm.
the green, yeah, if you end up in some of these weird spots, especially, and you look at this too, like there's a goddamn runoff creek here. Like there is some weird water. It's not big water, but there's water hazards on 7 of the holes. So you
Hmm.
do if you're not finding some of these greens, there's a lot of you see like the
Slopes.
false front and the false the sides that run off. There's a lot of runoff areas. So if you
Hmm.
can't chip worth a shit, you're gonna have trouble here too. So I would have
Hmm.
trouble. Mine was again. I love these college ones now. I'm running into this every week where I'm looking at this. Bubba Top Bulldog, which is to say Georgia players.
Georgia.
I looked at this. It was Brian Harmon, Russell Henley, Harris English, Keith Mitchell. Those two are the same person, and Sepp Straka. Straka and Mitchell are way down the board. They're fades for me anyway. Harris English not playing well lately. He's a guy we've loved, and
Mm-mm.
he's just not playing all that good. So I'm fine. Essentially, I'm treating this as a three ball between Harmon, Henley, and Watson, getting plus 250 on this. And
And Henley just missed the cut last week too.
yeah, Henley, we've had a little trouble with him lately. And Harmon, I caught somebody on this. I was trying to goof with JMAS this morning about taking Harmon's course history into play here because he's won here. He's won
Hmm.
here, but it was in 2017 when they held this at a different course because they had the players here. So they
Right.
had this tournament at like Eagle Bluff Cliff Riff or something, and it's a way different course. So anybody that's something important. If you look at that, I unlocked some shoes, not a big deal. But if you do look at that, always read a few things because, like you said, oh Brian Harmon won here. Yeah, he won here. It was a completely different golf course. So
He won
I'm
the
throwing
tournament, not the course.
yeah, it was the tournament, not the course. So I threw him out, and yeah, Hanley's 300, Harmon's 275, Watson plus 250. I took Bubba at plus 250. Somebody I've backed a little lately, and I'm happy to back again here at that number. And that's it. That's everything for the week. I think we're gonna have a better week this week. My matchups did okay. I didn't obviously hit any outrights, but I need an up week. I'd like to have an up week after I had 2 or 3 in a row where I won some money. It was basically break even, lose a little bit on props. So there we go.
Let's
There's
go.
there's everything for the week. Real quick, we'll run through it. Outrights were Rahm and Hovland, and down the board a little, Zalatoris and Varner, and I even said some Varner top 20. Webb
Hmm.
over Cantlay for you. Connors over Cantlay. We're fading Patrick.
Fading Cantley.
Yeah. Keegan over Sink. Wallace over Ricky Fowler. And then we had Day and Cantlay to miss the cut at big plus numbers. Jones is a top golfer from down under. Tom Lewis is a top Englishman. You decided to switch your answer and go with me on no for hole in one, which is fine. I don't know if these are super predictable, especially with the vig they're making me lay across these. And then the wild card was Phil Mickelson, top 20, and Bubba to be the top Georgia player.
And
And
cake bet.
yeah, that'll do it for the week. Thanks to Pam. Thanks to the sponsor WinBet. Thanks for BetSperts. Thanks to me. Thanks for Nintendo. Thanks for these new shoes I've unlocked with my play. It looks like a nice set of FootJoys I might put on for next week. And we'll catch you here next week as we preview. Christ, I don't know what's between here and the
Whatever's
players.
next
I
week.
know I just been so focused in on Kawhi.
We do
In
one
2
day at a
weeks.
time.
Yeah, I honestly haven't even looked that much. I've been looking ahead to the PGA, so we'll get to it by next week. And thanks for checking in. If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next week.
Good luck with your butts.